Hey everyone, Ryan from Ebike Escape, and in this video we're going to be reviewing the Aventon Aventure, a Class 3 fat tire electric bike. So let's get into it. Before we get into the walk around, if you are looking to purchase an Aventon Aventure or any of the other models that they currently offer, please consider using the link in the description before you make your purchase, as it helps me continue to make videos like this one. Really appreciate your support. I will also put links to our electric bike accessories list, our top e-bike brands page, and finally our electric bike discounts code page, where I track recent deals going on with the electric bike brands that I follow. And as I record this, we are approaching Black Friday. I will also put a link to our Black Fridays post where I'm tracking all the great deals happening right now on electric bikes. So if you're looking for one, be sure to check out that post as well. Links within also help support me. With that, let's take a closer look at the Aventon Aventure. You can see here that we have the red model. This is the medium large frame, and I'm 6 feet tall. It fits me very well, no problem. Love the accessibility, love that they're offering a step-through frame, and I also really like the colorways that they're offering. Now, this red, I would say, is more of a cranberry red, so just so you're aware, I think it looks super sharp. They have some accents around the frame as well. Really think Aventon did a great job with these paint jobs on these bikes. They just look fantastic. Obviously, integrated battery, which we'll talk about in a little bit. And I've really been wanting to review a Aventon electric bike for some time now. And I think they really nailed it with the Adventure. I have no doubt that it already is a popular fat tire electric bike. It's priced pretty well, currently at $2,000. Of course, prices have been increasing recently across the board. And one of the unique things about Aventon is they do have locations across the US. So if you're looking for one of these, you might be able to hop on one and test ride one before you buy. Of course, you can get them shipped direct to your house as well. But that is definitely a differentiator with this brand, and certainly something to be aware of, especially when you consider that the prices aren't necessarily any higher than some of the other brands that you might be looking at. With that, let's start up here in the front. Let's start with these fat tires. Of course, many people like purchasing fat tire e-bikes these days. They're versatile, can pretty much take them anywhere. You can see there's definitely some tread on these fat tires. So it's 26 by 4-inch tires. That's pretty much standard right now for fat tire e-bikes, at least in the full-size frame. And these are Kenda tires. They did go with black spokes. It looks really nice. And of course, the Kenda branding is hidden. So if you're looking for a nice clean look, this bike has it. One thing I wanted to point out is the front wheel does bolt on, so no quick release here. Now, if it were me, I would prefer a quick release only because it makes taking off the front tire very easily. Now, that potentially isn't going to be an issue, but if you do happen to have a flat, changing the front tire is going to be a lot easier because you can simply quick release it, no extra tools needed. So if you are going on some big adventures with the Aventon Aventure, you might want to include a wrench in your pack. And given the price point of this electric bike, no surprise here, we have hydraulic disc brakes. Definitely prefer those to mechanical disc brakes. They provide more stopping power. They're less finicky than mechanical disc brakes. But I've been finding that these hydraulic disc brakes perform just as well as a lot of the other brands that I've tested. Definitely one of the nice things when you get into the upper $1,000 range, you find electric bikes with hydraulic disc brakes. So if it fits in your budget, definitely try to find a bike with hydraulic disc brakes over mechanical. They're just a little bit easier to maintain, less finicky, more stopping power, and they definitely feel better in the levers as well. And the Aventon Aventure comes fully equipped with front and rear fenders. These are actually metal fenders. And there's attachment points right here. They feel nice and solid. And there is some Aventon branding, which is a nice touch on the rear of the fender there. Of course, this bike is definitely made to take off-road. Let's take a quick look at the Zoom suspension fork here. There is a lockout. So I'll go ahead and push on that suspension so you can get an idea of what to expect. Definitely a sufficient front suspension in my opinion. And there is also a preload adjustment on the other side of the fork. And we do have a nice Aventon badge up front. Now you'll notice that there are some bolts up here, 4 of them, and that's to attach the optional front rack if you decide to purchase it. And I always like to call out the cable management. You can see that they are using some wrap here for a little bit of the cabling up into the frame. Nicely integrated cables there. I think they could have went a little bit further with the cable management. Of course, that's something you could add if you want a super clean look. And of course, there's cables on the other side as well, and some slight branding there with Aventon's name. All right, let's move on to the cockpit and check out what we have up front here. So the Aventure does come with locking grips. These are Velo, feel pretty good. Definitely like locking grips when companies include them. They're not going to move around. And as I mentioned earlier, we have those Zoom hydraulic disc brakes. They feel really nice. And the Aventure has a left-hand thumb throttle. Now it's always user preference whether you prefer the thumb throttle or the twist throttle. I find that the twist throttles are a little bit easier because if you are using the throttle a lot, your thumb can get a little bit tired, but other people prefer the thumb throttle. So just a note, this one does have a left-hand thumb throttle. We do have a cell phone mount up here. Check out our electric bike accessories list. This is the Night Eyes Raptor. Let's move on to the right side before we look at that LCD screen. So we do have a trigger shifter here. This is made by Shimano. Definitely like the trigger shifters. Feels plenty adequate for this bike. Been doing lots of shifting. And of course, there's a barrel adjuster up front in case you need to fine tune the derailleur at all. Let's go ahead and turn the display on. Now, one unique thing with the Aventure is you do need to push this button here on the battery. And it is showing red, going to be very difficult to see during the daylight here, but I have seen it go green and blue, and I believe that is an indication of how much battery capacity is left in the battery. So now I can go up here, turn on the display. Left button is the power button, and then you have your pedal assist modes up and down, and you do have a dedicated light button, which is always nice. Let's just take a quick look at that front light mounted to the handlebars. Definitely a pretty bright light. I feel like companies are definitely including some nicer lights on some of these electric bikes. Of course, if you're riding at night and even riding during the day, I really like the rechargeable ones that blink. So I really hope that some e-bike companies come up with some lights that actually have flashing modes so you can use them during the day and alert vehicles to your presence. So let's go ahead and turn the light back off because the display is then going to go brighter because it assumes that you're riding at night and you don't need as much brightness. So this is a look at the display here. So we have battery capacity in the top right-hand corner, miles per hour, front and center, trip distance, odometer, and the pedal assist. So it goes up to 5. And if you hit the I button here, that's the center button, average speed, max speed, trip time, calories burnt, trip CO2 reduced, trip trees saved, some CO2 reduced, some trees saved, and then back to the trip distance and odometer, and actually go through the app during the first person riding footage. So I'm not going to show that to you right now, but you can get into the advanced settings by holding that I button here. You can see screen brightness, set unit, system info, and then connect to app. The app connectivity is very easy to do. So pretty nice display, very easy to navigate. and it shows up good in the daylight as well, mounted front and center. And as far as I'm aware, this is a Aventon specific display. I haven't seen anything similar on any of the other electric bikes that I've reviewed. Of course, with their own app, that's something that differentiates Aventon as well. I'm going to go ahead and remove the battery. Again, it's located on the left side of the frame. This is pretty unique. I haven't seen this type of battery that actually comes out the side very often. Just a note that you can charge it either on or off the bike. So I'll go ahead and insert the key here. Turning the key is going to pop that battery out. Pretty easy to remove. There's a look at this massive battery. Now this battery is a 48 volt, 15 amp hour battery, definitely a little bit more capacity than you'll find on some electric bikes. Of course, some bikes will have bigger batteries than this, but that's going to be plenty of range for most people. In fact, Aventon does a really good job of estimating a range, so be sure to check out their website. They're very upfront and honest the way they do it. A lot of companies overstate their ranges. Now to go ahead and put the battery pack back in, there is a little bit of a piece here. That's the pivot point. Now, one thing that I will note about this battery pack is I've noticed that sometimes it doesn't quite click into place. So if you are purchasing this electric bike, when you remove the key, I would definitely try to give this battery a tug up here to make sure that that battery is locked in place. Another thing that I quickly wanted to point out with the battery is it does come with a 3 amp charger, which is slightly higher than the 2 amp chargers that I see on many electric bikes. Just going to charge up your battery a little bit faster compared to some of the other electric bikes that you might be looking at. But almost all electric bikes on the market come with slow chargers. The highest I've seen is actually 4 amps, which obviously is going to charge your bike up a little bit faster, but it's still going to take several hours with these large battery capacities. And as I mentioned earlier, I really like these accent colors that they used. And there are bottle cage bosses right here. Of course, that's really nice. You can put a bottle cage there or a bike lock, depending on your preference. That's going to be nice and easy for you to reach. Let's go ahead and talk about these pedals. Definitely nothing special. It's about what I expect. And personally, I find pedals very similar to this on almost every electric bike that I review. It's something that you can upgrade if you'd like, if you want to get some matching colored pedals, if you want something with more grip. There are definitely other options out there. And what is nice, kickstand located towards the rear of the bike, definitely plenty sturdy to hold this very heavy electric bike. This bike is 73 pounds, so definitely keep that in mind with any electric bike that you're looking at. And fat tire bikes generally are just heavier. Most of them are in the 60-pound range, and definitely some of them get into 70 pounds, especially if they have larger batteries. Now, I have been noticing this on more and more electric bikes is the motor cable actually comes in on the left side of the bike, and you can see that it actually comes around the kickstand here, and then it enters between the dropouts and that rear disc rotor. Here's a closer look at that rear disc brake. And what is super unique about the Aventon Aventure is going to be this rear light. I'm going to go ahead and turn it on. And I really like that they integrated this into the frame. That's something that you would really expect on much more expensive electric bikes. It is pretty bright. And when you hit the brakes, it is going to go brighter. So I really like that. When the light is turned off, when you still hit the brakes, it does go on and off. So that's a nice feature as well. The only thing is that this light is only on the left side. You can see nothing there on the right. Maybe in a future iteration, they'll put lights on both sides. I'm sure that's not easy when you consider the cable management. All right, and we have more branding here. You can see it says Aventure. And we did opt for the rear rack on this bike. So you can put some bags or panniers, definitely some cargo capability with having that rear rack. It does have a 25 kilogram max weight. And again, with that rear fender, it is Aventon branded as well. Here's a closer look at that motor. So this is actually a name brand Bafang motor. So a lot of times on electric bikes, you'll see no branding at all, or a company will put their own branding on. So perhaps other e-bike brands are actually using Bafang motors, but you actually don't know if it is because they're putting whatever branding that they want to on the motor. And Bafang, of course, is well known for their motors. This one is really powerful, 750 watt nominal, 1,130 watts peak. You'll have to watch our hill climb test as well as riding with the various pedal assist levels and see just what this motor can do. Now, while this bike does have plenty of power, I will note with the throttle, it comes on nice and easy, not going to jerk you, something I wanted to call out. Now, in the rear, we have something that I don't often see on electric bikes in this price range. This is a 12 to 32 tooth 8-speed cassette from Shimano. Now, I will say in Class 3 mode, reaching those higher speeds, it is a little bit more difficult to provide your own power, but of course, 12 tooth, that's actually pretty good. A lot of times you'll see them start at 14 teeth on the high gears. Now, the Aventon Aventure comes with a Shimano Acera rear derailleur, definitely nicer than some of the super entry-level components from Shimano. I find that is perfectly adequate. I imagine most people will find the same. Aventon does include this nice chainstay protector. Velcro's on, going to protect that nice looking frame. And up front, you have a 46-tooth double-walled chainring. Really like that. That's going to prevent your pants from getting dirty and, of course, protect the teeth as well. For a saddle, Aventon includes a branded saddle. It actually looks really nice on this bike. Now, of course, it's going to depend on the individual person, whether you find that this saddle is comfortable. It's slightly wider than a standard bike seat, but if you want more cushion, definitely check out our electric bike accessories list for some super cushy seats that I see a lot of people purchase. And for the ultimate comfort, definitely consider a suspension seat post. Those are on our list as well. Definitely an upgrade that is totally worth it, especially if you're going to be taking this bike off-road frequently. All right, that concludes the walk around. Let's get to some first-person riding footage. I'll go in the various pedal assist modes. I'll do a throttle only test, and then I'll take this bike up the hill that I test out all of our electric bikes on. All right, let's get into the first-person riding footage on the Aventon Aventure. Before we get started, I should note that I did go ahead and override this so I can go into Class 3 mode. So that's going to be up to 28 miles per hour, of course, without that throttle. It does come shipped as a Class 2 electric bike, up to 20 miles per hour with the throttle. And in order to actually change the top speed, you actually have to download the app and pair it. And it's actually pretty easy. I'm fairly impressed with this app. You can see there, it shows my battery life, and I have my lights here. You can actually go ahead and turn the light on or off from the app. You can see the pedal assist. And you can actually change the pedal assist as well. But if I go into settings here, I can change the screen brightness and auto power off. And then there's a speed limit. I turn it all the way up to 51 kilometers an hour. And then here's the assistant level. You can actually turn that up from the app. You can see it perhaps on your screen, changing it over on the center LCD screen. So yeah, pretty cool app, but that's how you go ahead and change the speed limit. There are some other settings in here as well. You can see total cycling time, odometer, total calories, max speed, average speed, and total CO2 reduced. And you can go ahead and record your rides as well. There is a Discover, which is kind of like a social tab, it looks like. You can see there's some pictures here. And then, of course, there's your profile. You can earn medals and stuff. So there's some gamification here. And I have to say, there's not a lot of companies, especially where these bikes are priced, that are doing anything similar. So I kind of like that they added an app, even if you decide not to use it. It's pretty cool. So now I'm going to go ahead and get my Coolnix speedometer app here on my phone. Not sure if you'll be able to see the center display as well. I'm actually going to start with throttle only, and that'll get us up to 20 miles per hour. No problem with this powerful motor. Just a note, you do need to be in at least pedal assist 1. So pedal assist 0, that throttle is engaged. That's kind of a nice safety feature actually, so you don't accidentally bump it. All right, here we go. Throttle only, up to 20 miles per hour. Also note that I don't have the fat tires pumped all the way up, so definitely a little bit less efficient. So something to keep in mind as well. All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1, throttle. It's 14, 16, 17, and I can already feel the motor cutting back a little bit. It looks like On my GPS, it's actually holding me at 18, whereas the Aventon display is showing 20. 19 now on my GPS, so that's actually a little bit interesting. But now I actually go into pedal assist 0. I do get this question quite a bit. Can I pedal this electric bike or whatever one I happen to be reviewing with no battery power? Say you have an issue with the bike or you run out of battery. Hopefully that doesn't happen. But I'm already having to shift down here. This is a heavy bike, and with those fat tires, more rolling resistance. And I mean, I'm working a little bit in 6th gear. This is completely flat. I'm going about 11 miles an hour. Now I could obviously shift down much lower, 4th gear here. This is a little bit more comfortable. And then of course you do have range, so if you do want to go completely down into 1st gear, that's almost too low for me though. So yeah, 8 to 11 miles an hour, depending on how much effort. The really challenge is going to be going up hills. So now let's go through the various pedal assist modes. I'm actually going to stay in 3rd gear. I'll probably end up shifting up, going to pedal assist 1. And because there is more rolling resistance with this bike, and the power delivery obviously plays a factor in this, how fast you're gonna go at each pedal assist level, but this is pretty comfortable. 3rd gear, pedal assist 1, 11 miles an hour, working a little bit. I wouldn't call it quite a leisurely pace. Let's go ahead and go into pedal assist 2 here. Definitely feel that motor kicking in. I do need to shift up. 4th gear, 5th gear. This feels pretty good. 5th gear in pedal assist 2, going about 13 miles an hour. Now I will say on the electric bikes that we ride, pretty much any electric bike that we ride when we're out commuting or taking our son to the park and whatnot, we do usually ride in the highest gear, and then we kind of adjust the pedal assist. I actually maybe could go to 6th gear here, get a little bit more of a workout. So that's pretty good. Let's go ahead and go into pedal assist 3. Definitely feel the motor again kick in there and starting to spin my legs. Can't provide as much power after this turn here. Gonna go ahead and shift up. There's 17. Seems like the Aventon display is just reading a little bit higher. That says I'm going almost 19 miles an hour. All right, let's go into pedal assist 4. I did shift up to 7th gear. Glad I did, especially in 4th pedal assist here. There's 21 miles an hour. I think I could even go in the 8th gear here. Still providing some of my own effort, definitely in pedal assist 4. Shows 20 miles an hour there. Let's go ahead. Once I get up to speed here, I'm going to change into pedal assist 5, and we'll see how close to 28 miles an hour I can go. There we go. Now I'm really just keeping my legs moving. I'm not pushing really hard. They are starting to spin a little bit. There's 24, 25, 26. And of course the Aventon display is saying 28. I'm gonna try pushing really hard and see if I can get any faster. There's 27 I saw. The Aventon display is saying I'm going 30. I think that's going to be it. Now, in pedal assist 5, that motor is really working. I think if I could, I would shift up a little bit more. Though it's not too terrible in the 8th gear here. your cadence is just going to be a little bit faster. All right, with that, let's get to the hill climb test. We'll really put this motor to the test. Okay, here we are at the hill climb. Before we get to this footage, I did want to mention in class 3 mode, so when I'm going over 20 miles per hour and you hit that throttle, that's actually not going to provide any assistance. In fact, when I hit that throttle, it actually turns the motor off. So something to keep in mind, that's of course by design. Class 3 electric bikes up to 28 miles per hour are not supposed to have throttles. So that's why Aventon did that. So just wanted to point that out. With that, let's get to the hill climb test here. This is the hill that I take up all of the electric bikes that I review, so it's really nice. You can compare and contrast different brands, different models, and I will put on the screen the specs of this hill. The GoPro makes it look much smaller, and what we're going to do is I'm going to do throttle only the first time up, and then I'll go ahead and do some pedaling and go through the various pedal assist modes. And hopefully that will give you a better idea of how this bike handles hills. Of course, we're gonna get up to speed here, 18 miles an hour. Of course, the Aventon display is showing just over 20. I have no doubt that this powerful motor will take us up this hill pretty easily, judging by its performance being a class 3 electric bike. Still going 18, and really the hill just is starting now. You can start it feeling to work a little bit more. 15, 14, 13. Remember again, big fat tires, heavy bike. 12. And I think that's going to be the lowest speeds that we hit, 12, 13 miles an hour, which is still pretty good. I mean, this is a very steep hill, and of course, I always recommend if you're riding an electric bike, you should do some pedaling. Otherwise, what's the point of buying an electric bike? They have pedals, and so you might as well take advantage of that and get a little bit of a workout. Of course, it is nice to know, though, that if you needed to throttle up a hill, this thing will get you up no problem. And we're almost at the top here. So yeah, pretty good, about what I would expect out of this bike. Definitely plenty of power. But again, if you're looking at this electric bike, you're probably not looking at the most efficient bike, although the fat tires are surely fun, but thinner tires, perhaps a little lighter electric bike is going to give you increased range, of course, if the battery capacities are the same. All right, next I'm going to ride down this hill, and I'll do it again while pedaling, going through the different pedal assists. All right. Let's do the hill with pedaling. I'm actually going to turn the pedal assist down here to 1. I already started shifting down in 4th gear now, and I think I'm quickly going to want to turn the pedal assist up here. Going about 9 miles an hour. I'm going to go ahead and go in pedal assist 2 here. That feels much better. Definitely not pedaling too terribly hard. And going 11 miles an hour, so not terrible. Could even shift down if I really wanted to. Still provide some of my own effort, but of course less. Let's see what we can do in pedal assist 3. 4th gear, 5th gear. Feels pretty good. Definitely not providing a ton of my own power. Of course, I can make it much harder going to 8. Let's actually go into pedal assist 4 here. There's 15 miles an hour. Let's go ahead and go to pedal assist 5, and definitely in 8th gear. It's a workout. So definitely capable of handling hills. Of course, just up to you how much you want to conserve that battery power, how much of a workout you want to get. And we're getting to the top here. So I have confidence that this bike will handle almost any hill that you want to throw at it. Except, of course, if you live in the mountains or something like that. With that, let's get to some third-person riding footage, and I'll give you my concluding thoughts on the Aventon Aventure. When the Aventon Aventure was first released, it was pretty clear to me that this bike was going to be a winner in the crowded fat tire e-bike category. There seems to be no slowdown of interest in fat tire e-bikes. In fact, my dad was excited to take the Aventure for a spin and quickly decided he wanted this as his next e-bike. There are a lot of great options in the mid $1,500 to $1,600 range, but less options with premium features from the more reputable brands. This is where the Aventure really shines. There are 309 Aventon elite dealers across the US according to their website, and I'd imagine more are on the way. This means you are more likely to be able to check out this e-bike in person, and I recommend you do. The Aventure is a well thought out bike with its integrated battery design that removes from the side instead of the bottom of the down tube. It certainly feels like a more premium product throughout, and I think Aventon did a great job with the colorways. The high step model is offered in SoCal Sand, Camel Green, and Black. The step through version is offered in SoCal Sand, Camel Green, and this electric red. I am partial to the step through for its increased accessibility, and in my opinion, it looks just as nice as the high step design. Another nice touch is Aventon uses hydroforming to produce their frames, which leads to a much more clean look by the weld points compared to extruded tubing. It's something you can only appreciate when you see these bikes up close. This is a medium-large frame which fit me at 6 feet tall perfectly, and my wife, who is 5'5", was plenty comfortable on it as well. For a more upright riding position, you may want to consider an adjustable stem. It's worth highlighting the frame sizes since this is something that sets Aventon apart, and this is not only for the Aventon Aventure. The step-through model comes in 2 frame sizes, a small medium and a medium large. The high step model comes in 3 sizes, small through large. Most e-bikes in the $1,000 to $2,000 price range come in only one size. Other highlights include the hydraulic disc brakes, the branded metal fenders, the integrated taillight into the frame even if it is just on one side, and the fact that this is a Class 3 e-bike. It's plenty powerful, which is impressive given this bike weighs 73 pounds. The 15 amp hour battery is pretty standard, but it is good for between 19 and 53 miles. Check out Aventon's real world testing infographic, which is super helpful. If only every company was this forthcoming on range estimates. You also get a slightly faster 3 amp charger compared to the 2 amp chargers that come on many e-bikes. I also like the display and the ability to pair your e-bike with your phone. The app works flawlessly, and despite some of the gimmicky stats, it's pretty cool to see a brand known for their value-priced e-bikes to be pushing the envelope when it comes to tech, and it's likely only a hint at things to come. If you want to accessorize your bike further, Aventon sells the rear rack, which I opted for, and you can also add a front rack as well. These cost $50 and $40 respectively. As far as customer service goes, Aventon was very quick to respond via email to our issue with one of the rear fender mounts. Perhaps other owners can chime in the comment section below with their experience. If the Aventon Aventure is not your cup of tea, Aventon sells e-bikes starting at $12.99, though if I was personally looking at other models, I'd be looking closely at the Aventon Level and Aventon Cinch. If you're looking at purchasing an Aventon e-bike, I'd really appreciate it if you use the link in the description prior to making your purchase, as it helps me continue to make reviews like this one. I hope to review more of the Aventon lineup, as I think they offer a great product at a competitive price. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.